everyone, it's Andy with the Reverb Tone Report, and today I'm checking out the Benson Amps Stonkbox. This one uses their thermal bias technology to keep those pesky germanium transistors from changing with the weather, so it's a very consistent sound no matter where you have it placed and no matter where you play in the world. So let's check it out. The Stonkbox goes back even further than Benson's Germanium Fuzz with a 3-transistor circuit based on the Mark I tone bender, known mostly for being used by Mick Ronson when he was a spider from Mars. After plugging in for a couple minutes, the analog components will warm the surrounding germanium transistors and the LED will turn green. This indicates that the temp is exactly the same as it was when the pedal was biased from the factory. From there, you'll see the LED continue to indicate the warming process by showing amber or green as you're playing, creating a consistent tone even if it's freezing or 100 degrees outside. The controls expand on the basic volume and filter or gain by adding an input trim. This can reduce the signal before the transistors amplify, drastically affecting the aggressiveness and feel of this primitive fuzz from the 60s. Taking it further is a low-pass tone control, which smooths out this inherently bright fuzz and even adds some bass boost at lower settings. Like their Germanium Fuzz, Benson uses high-quality components and modern tweaks to make this pedal compatible with today's rigs, as it's buffer and pedal order friendly. To get yours, check out the Stonkbox right here on Reverb. Let's just start with the classic Mark I tone, and this is easily done by cranking up both the filter and trim. You could actually back off on the trim just a little bit until you find the sweet spot. And same with the tone control. I like to back that off a little bit, especially with single coils. Now remember, the trim is before the transistor stage, so it really cleans things up and gets rid of some of that raspy quality. So very dynamic here, and let's back off on the filter or the gain even more and get a, kind of a fuzzier overdrive texture, and we're going to crank up the output as well. So unlike a Mark I, you could really explore those lower gain settings and just get a hint of fuzzy texture. Of course, it's not going to clean up as much as a 2-transistor fuzz face style, but we really get some interesting textures here. Speaking of that, let's really shape things with that tone control. thing about this fuzz is that it doesn't ever get lost in the mix, unlike a lot of classic fuzz faces and big muffs. There's always that mid-range presence, and you could really dial in the amount of bass you want with that filter control. So let's start with it all the way up and then back it off and see how it really affects the thickness of this bridge humbucker. So as you can tell, those filter and trim controls are really interactive. If you keep the trim up but back off on the filter, in other words, just backing off on the gain, you kind of get that almost starved quality, but when you back off on the trim, for instance, and keep the gain high, it's a completely different sound. Let's try that one. Compared to the Mark II, which is a bit smoother and more refined, the Mark I has more of an aggressive character initially, but it doesn't have quite the sustain. So let's get that really kind of silky lead sound by backing off the tone, cranking up the filter, and just backing off the trim only slightly just to kind of smooth things out. Well, there's your look at another thermal-controlled Germanium fuzz from Benson, the Stonkbox, and you can find it right here on Reverb. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.